listening to LOA Recon with the Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma, where we dissect the ins and outs and the art and science of conscious creation, all intended to amp up your manifesting game. Let's have some fun together. Okay, I think it's recording time. I just had 2 dogs lay down. I just had Elvis get off my lap so I can scooch in closer to the microphone. We're in business. Hey, do you want to hear something really cool? I got this review in my inbox from Melanie, who left me a review on iTunes for LOA Recon. It said this: I was listening to another LOA podcast that frustrated me due to how vague the experiences recounted were. Instead of writing the podcaster to politely beg for specificity, I remembered to focus on having it already. You are a rock star, Melanie. And bam, Jeanette Ma's podcast materialized in my world. What a treat. Jeanette is, oh, this is so sweet, authentic, humble, and specific in her podcasts, which makes them incredibly helpful to me. It's making me hope I'm really specific in the one that I'm recording for you today. Oh, Melanie writes, listen to my favorite crackhead neighbor to get the full flavor of how deeply honest. It is true. Deeply honest is probably an accurate way to describe what I am sharing here in these episodes. She says it also doesn't hurt that she rescues and fosters animals, a passion I share. High five, Melanie. Finding LOA Recon had been one of the highlights of my 2017 favorite compliment. I've got goosebumps, Melanie. Thank you. She writes, I get so fired up when I see a new one. Thank you, Jeanette, for so generously sharing your LOA journey with us. And please think about a daily podcast. Okay, I'm thinking about it, Melanie. You're making me want to do it. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for inspiring me to get the microphone out and record some more episodes for you guys. I do love doing this. And I've got something I'm a little fired up today about. Okay, I'm fired up about this topic just about every day. Today's not unusual. Here's what I've been thinking about. There's one thing in particular that most of us can do to let more magic into our lives. I mean, just changing this one thing. It'll create sweeter successes. It'll make for more enjoyable manifestations. My dog just sighed, like she's so sick of hearing me talk about this. How funny is that? I hope you're not. Not because this one matters. This is what will allow our manifestations to come easier than ever. And it's something that we all have a tendency to not do. No matter how smart we are about conscious creation, no matter how many books we've read, no matter how many ABE seminars we've been to, a lot of us have a habit, and I say us because this happens to me too. When we do this, it elbows universe right out of the equation. It's like we're not making any room for that kind of magic. And you might guess what I'm talking about. Probably guessing it, right? I'm talking about figuring it out, plotting the path, connecting the dots yourself from where you are to where you want to be. That's muggle mode, friends, and that is not what we are good at. That's not our job. It never was. We weren't ever supposed to be good at figuring out how to get what we want. That's not our work. Our superpowers lie in working the energy. That's what makes us magnificent. Being able to see what isn't so yet. Being willing to feel now how we'd feel then. I've got goosebumps again. Without knowing how we're going to get there. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen that tripping us up, where we have trouble believing in something because we don't see how it could happen. Like, we don't know how we could quit this job and make the money we want doing something we love. Or we don't know the way to recover our health and regain the physical stamina that we want. Or we don't know how we could ever put the relationship back together, no matter how much we might want it. A lot of that stuff trips us up because if we don't have an idea how it could happen, some of us find it hard to believe in because we forget we're not supposed to know. We think that we not just know, we got to figure it out and then make it happen. Okay, that's not our role. Conscious creators know that when we're in our right mind, but still, it sometimes trips us up when we don't have an immediate idea of how we could get there, how we could make that much money that we want to make when we know our job only pays X amount, or whatever it is that we want. All we're supposed to do is be willing to spend some time with what we want, not how to get there. We just want to get familiar with what our desire looks like and how it feels. That's all we're supposed to do. I will say I'm a fan of amping up belief however we can. And sometimes seeing a way there is a good way to believe in it. But sometimes, I'm getting a little fired up, I'll tone it down. Sometimes, if we think we see a way that our big dream could happen, we get attached to that path. And sometimes that closes us off to other paths that might have worked much better. So I'm a fan of not knowing how to get there because we're not supposed to know. Your role is just to practice seeing it, feeling it, being there now. That's all. And then follow your guidance, which just means go wherever you're called, i.e. do what feels good. Because that's your inner guidance saying this way. Even when it seems like what it's calling you toward has nothing to do with what you want, you're not supposed to see how those dots connect. It's not important for you to understand. You just want to trust that inner guidance that's calling you forth. And again, you don't get that guidance until you plug into your vision. So you got to get lined up and then listen for where you are called. When the way inner guidance calls us is by whatever feels good. So all you got to do is keep answering the call of inspiration or that inner guidance. Because your higher self or your inner being, whatever you want to call it, it knows the way. It's got a direct connection to source. Goosebumps again. It knows way more than you do, and it'll only speak to you through one inspired action at a time. I've heard someone say that she gets multiple directions at a time. Maybe so. But this is why I'm suggesting that we get comfortable with not having any idea how what we want could come about. We're not supposed to know. All we're supposed to do is to be willing to practice what we want from where we stand right now. And we can do that in so many easy, fun, effective ways. Even if all you did was just become an appreciationist. I wrote a post on that once. That's just where you get really good at appreciating whatever you can. Or you could also just get really good at prioritizing happiness. That's another way to become a master at feeling good. Or you could visualize a couple minutes every day the end result of what you want. You could activate the vibration of it, which just means feel now how you'd feel then. Remember Red Ferrari guy? One of my favorite manifesting stories. Well, it's not mine, but I love it. You could script it. You could use affirmations. You could speak it like it's already done. Or you could write it in a prayer rain journal like it already happened. You could act as if, right? By being the person who already has it. You could immerse yourself in it, like environmentally, to cue your brain that this is so for you. Or you could hang out with other people who already have it and just draft off their vibration because we become who we hang out with. There are a whole bunch of ways for us to feel it now. It doesn't matter how we go about doing that. It doesn't matter how you activate the vibrations, but that is where the big magic is, playing with the energy of it. Tuning to the frequency of whatever your desire is. And we squash that magic when we play the part of trying to figure it out ourselves. So please don't think you're supposed to know how. I get a little suspicious when we have a good idea about how to get there, because if the instruction is coming from our physical mind, that's what Bashar calls it, our physical mind, instead of our higher mind, we are definitely limiting ourselves. So all we really need to do is get comfortable with what our role is in this whole manifesting process. That's to conjure the desires, to visit with them vibrationally until we're familiar with that energy, and then do what feels good. It is so simple. I will say, if you have any questions at this, there are a whole lot of LOA coaches devoted to helping you succeed at this. I am one of those coaches that you will find on the website, loacoaches.com, or get a manifesting buddy, or join a savvy LOA community, anything that helps you plug into your true power. That's my suggestion. Okay, and in honor of Melanie's fabulous review for LOA Recon, I'll give an example of when I did this. Remember when my very first, I was brand new at this. Oh, I'm getting a little shrill. I'll tone it down a little. Remember when I was in that meeting, had that corporate job, and they told us we were basically all fired. We were salespeople. If we didn't turn our numbers around within like 2 weeks, they were pulling the plug on the whole department. Oh, that was supposed to light a fire under us to go try harder. We'd been trying hard. We'd been trying plenty hard. Okay, I'm telling the long version of this. I'll keep it short. I went back to my desk after that meeting where I felt like, oh, all is lost. Nothing's working. We're all out of jobs. And I said, what they've been having us do hasn't been working, which was cold calling and reading scripts. So why don't I try something that I think might work? And I thought of Pray Rain journaling. I'd heard of it before, but I'd never practiced it. It's where you write a page a day about what you want as if it's already happened. I didn't have a lot of time, so I got a super small book. It was a little notebook, like 88 cents from Office Max, 2 inches by 3 inches, teeny weeny. I could only fit like 4 or 5 sentences on the thing, where I wrote about how fabulous it was that prospects found me, how perfect, what a perfect match my product was for them, and what great rapport we had, and how they couldn't wait for me to implement this product in their company. Fantasy. It was pure, complete fantasy from the reality that I'd been living. But I focused on what I wanted. This was me writing it out. That was my way of redirecting my attention off of reality, off of what I didn't want, and onto what I did want. And after that, I made the freaking 4 or 5 sentence entry in my very first Pray Rain journal. I asked myself, what sounds good next? That's me tuning into that inner guidance that always knows the best way. Because if I had to try to figure that out my own self, I would not have had the answer that came. The answer that came, I'm getting goosebumps again, even thinking about this, was go to lunch. I hadn't had a proper lunch in a very long time. I'd been eating out of the vending machine because we were under so much pressure to make so many calls. No one was taking proper lunchtime. But I did on that day. I went across the street. I had my favorite food at my favorite restaurant, and I goofed off. I kicked my feet up on the table on an extra chair. I had an outside table, gorgeous spring day. I fed my leftover pita bread to the sparrows. Really, really enjoyed myself. I had not done that since I'd taken that job. So there I am, properly enjoying myself. Enjoyment, it's a superpower for getting what we want. I didn't know that. I was just listening to inner guidance. Inner guidance said, go have lunch. So I was enjoying my lunch. And then an hour and a half, I had a long lunch. After lunch, I was like, okay, I'm done here. Now what? I asked myself, what sounds good next? That's the question I used to plug into my inner guidance. Like, what does she think? And the answer that I got was go back to work, which also surprised me. But I did. I went to work. You guys know the story. In the elevator is the guy who asks me who I am. Long story short, he makes me follow him to his office, and he's looking exactly for what I sell. He didn't know that my bank sold this product. And he showed me his desk. It was covered with sales literature from 401k vendors. All my competitors were right here. And I told him everything he needed to know about everyone. I had a fabulous conversation with him. And after talking with him for like 15 minutes, he stood up. And I thought, okay, well, my fun's over now. Now I got to go back to work. But he didn't walk me back to the elevator. He walked me down to his HR director. And he basically told her to sign whatever I needed her to sign because they were going to use my 401k plan for their company. And in sales training, they taught us that best case scenario, it takes 6 weeks to identify a prospect, set up a meeting, overcome objections, drop a contract. It's supposed to take 6 weeks. And here it had happened in literally a matter of minutes. But you got to count my lunchtime because that was essential too. That was an essential part of the process. And if I were trying to figure out how to make that fantasy happen of easy sales, I never would have put myself in at lunch and never would have been in the elevator at the time with what my higher self knew was exactly who I needed to be talking to. Isn't it cool how it happens? We aren't supposed to know. We're only supposed to be willing to believe and to dare to dream and to be willing to feel now how we would feel then. There's so many fun ways to do it. So many fun ways. It doesn't have to be a Pray Rain journal. It doesn't matter how we do it. I'm a little excited again. I love this stuff. I love it when we embrace our creative powers to manifest what we want in life. In fact, I'm already excited for what you'll create when you get good at your part in the manifesting process. Thank you so much for listening, and happy manifesting. Bye, everyone.